Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are around the world, and welcome to Align with Your Intuition. This is one of my favorite topics. I hope each of you enjoy today's master class, okay? So take a moment, please say hello. I would love to know who is with us live. And also, please share what is it that you want to learn about intuition? What do you want to learn about your spiritual channels? Or maybe you have a question, okay? Now is a very important time on Mother Earth to develop and to align with our intuition. So for those of you, this is your first time meeting me, I'm Francisco Quintero. I'm one of Master Sha's leading teachers from the Tao Academy, and I have been studying with him for over 20 years now. And when I met Dr. and Master Zhigang Sha, I was originally living in California at that time. I was studying teaching mathematics, and I became ill with high blood pressure in my late 20s. So I wanted to find a way to heal and transform my life. So I started to learn all these techniques that I learned from him. But then something started to happen. I started to develop my intuition. I started to open my spiritual channels. I went for healing, but I got something much more, So that started to really open up a whole new door for me in my life. And now it's like I love this topic about intuition, about spiritual messages, about the spiritual channels, because they play such an important role in our life. Why do we want to do it? Why do we want to align with our intuition? When I say the word align with our intuition, intuition is part of our spiritual channels. And this is one of the areas of expertise that I teach in. So when we have highly developed intuition, our spiritual channels are highly developed. They're one and the same. Okay, so you're gonna hear me say both those words throughout the session. So why is that important? When I first started, I learned something called soul language first, which is universal language, light language. And I started to open my spiritual channels, but then I started to receive messages. And I started to, not only that, I started to open my third eye and I started to see the spiritual images. Before meeting Dr. and Master Zhigang Sha, I would say that I was highly sensitive to energy. I could feel people's emotions if I was in a room. But I didn't have words or language to describe what I was feeling or what I was experiencing. I just thought it was how everybody, I thought everybody had that. But as I started to learn more, I started to put words into what the spiritual channels are. I started to put words into what is intuition and how do you develop it. So I began to then start to see spiritual images. My spiritual channel started to widely open. And now, I've been very blessed with highly developed spiritual channels, but it's a beautiful way to guide your life. So why do you want to develop and align with your intuition? With your spiritual channels, it's because the soul is the boss, okay? Yes, the soul is the boss. Why is that important? Your heart and soul need to guide your life. When your heart and soul guide your life, you will experience greater happiness, joy, flourishing, abundance. It's that connection to our heart and soul, because the heart and soul, they know more. When we try to do things with our mind, we can get stuck, okay? But when we align with our intuition, start connecting to our heart and soul, start connecting with our spiritual channels, things can flow much, much differently in your life. Now, that's true for our soul. We can connect to our soul, to our heart, receive its messages, receive its guidance, and more. But why not connect, receive messages from Tao's source, the creator? Why not receive messages from the saints, angels, Buddhas, ascended masters? Those are highly developed souls, so they know much more than us, okay? They can guide us, they can bless us, they can transform our life. So that's very, very important as we begin to go into this new era that we are in. Master Sha calls this new era the soul light era. Different traditions may have a different word for it, but we're in a new era that the heart and soul will become vital for us to be able to transform our lives. In this new era, this new time that we're living in, really our heart and soul have to be like the boss. If they're going to guide every single part of our life, every single part. That includes our physical body, our health, our relationships, our finances. The soul will actually guide even business, finances, education, and more. It will guide every part of life. Isn't that going to be beautiful? That's when we are going to experience, for those of you who study with Dr. and Master Zhigang Sha, he often says a world of love, peace, and harmony. That's when we're going to experience love, peace, and harmony, is when we have gone through a period of transformation. So during this time, the more that we connect to our intuition, the more we will be able to make better decisions for our life. Not only our life, but what about others? All of that plays a very, very important role, okay? So welcome. I'm going to take a moment here to just say hello to some people. And also I see some questions coming in. Feel free to ask questions. Welcome, Alexandra from Baltimore. Welcome, Felix, Leanne. I'd love to trust my intuition more. Yes, Leanne. That's actually trusting your intuition, trusting your spiritual channels is very, very important. There was a student the other day, highly developed spiritual channels, but somehow they weren't trusting their intuition that day, and they kept asking me questions. And I said, you need to trust more the messages you receive, because then you don't need to ask these questions. So all these questions, if they just connected to their intuition, they would have known the answers. And I said, by trusting your intuition, by trusting your spiritual channels, you open the channels further. So you develop your intuition even more. That's actually very, very important. So as you are beginning to develop your intuition, develop your spiritual channels, trust your spiritual channels, trust your intuition. That will only make things much, much better. Welcome, Fatima. Welcome. Catherine asked a quick question. Is intuition the same as direct soul messages? Yes, it's a form. When you have, sometimes when we have our intuition, sometimes it's our soul giving us the message. Okay? But sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's an angel, a Buddha, divine, Tao source, giving us the message. Those messages don't always come from us. Okay? The soul world is trying to guide us. So in those moments when we think oh, my intuition or my gut feeling says this, that feeling, that message may have come from the spiritual realm, divine Tao source, a saint, a Buddha, angel. So they're interconnected, Catherine, those, okay? Welcome, Iru. Welcome, Andrea. Andrea from Perry-san. I'm hoping to learn how to know what it is and isn't, and what it is and what it is not. Okay, good one. What is it not? Let's start with what is it not? A lot of people, when they begin to open their spiritual channels, or especially when they think they're opening their third eye, they think they're going to see a psychedelic movie, a Walt Disney movie that's just full of bright colors and images and like a wild psychedelic, like if you, it's just a trip. It's not like that. It could be, but it's not like that. The messages, it's not also a big voice that you hear that's very loud that you just hear. It's also not like that. It could be, but it's for most people, it's not like that. The spiritual channels come in your intuition. It's like listening to the subtle messages in the field around you and the field inside you. Yes, your intuition, your spiritual channels are connected with your body. And your body, especially there are certain centers of the body that are receiving those messages. So when you like fine tune, like the radio, the old radios, in the old days used to, like when you put in the right station, okay, it's nice and clear, and sometimes it's out of tune. Well, you have to like fine tune it so that you hear a clear message. And it's a very subtle message. So part of like developing our intuition, developing our spiritual channels, it's about going within, feeling your heart, and noticing those subtle feelings that are happening in your body. Or, think of it like listening with your heart, not your ears, but your heart is listening. Your heart is receiving. Sometimes when you hear me say the word heart, I'm also talking about the spiritual heart in the middle of the chest, also known as the heart chakra. It is the receiver of those messages. So all of that is very important. So developing, going within, being quiet, listening to those messages, very, very important, so that you can highly develop your spiritual channels, highly develop, your intuition. Welcome, Heike, Maureen. Okay. Welcome, RD from India. Joy, grateful to be here. Tash has a question. Why does intuition get weaker after using it for so long? Tash, that's not necessarily true. My spiritual channels get stronger the longer I use it. Okay? My intuition gets stronger the more that I trust it and use it. Now, there is an if there. So for some of us, not everyone, for some of us, there are times when our spiritual channels, our intuition may drop. The accuracy may drop. Our level to receive those messages, or the third eye may suddenly close. Why? Okay. There could be many different things why that may happen. One could be to some negative information that needs to be transformed in your field. That could be spiritual, emotional, mental, physical. So it could be a wide range of blockages that need to be unblocked. And yes, you could learn how to unblock them. It could be that the spiritual realm, Tao Source, is saying, pause for a moment, Tash. You need to take a little break from that because we want you to focus more on this. Because for some people, your intuition, your spiritual channels sometimes can distract you. Or maybe the messages you receive may distract you. So sometimes Tao Source this is the way it is. So those are some different reasons, Tash. But in general, even when we drop, our spiritual channels, our intuition can always go higher, 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 and higher. So I'll just use myself as an example. When I met Dr. and Master Jigong Sha 20 years ago, when we first begin to open our spiritual channels, begin to develop our intuition, the accuracy of the messages can be about like average 60%, which is good, but we want to get that accuracy much higher. So over the years, that accuracy just climbs up higher, 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 higher. 90%, wonderful, you're very good. If you get 90%, you're doing, if you have a 90% accuracy, that is very highly developed spiritual channels, highly developed intuition. Even for myself, there was a point where I went higher, 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 like 95%, but then it dropped. Yes, it dropped even for myself. I was going through some life challenges, some difficulties, some negativity in my heart. So it blocked. It went to like 88%. These are spiritual readings about the accuracy. But then it went back up, going back up. We go through that transformation. Then when our frequency vibration gets uplifted, then the accuracy climbs back up. Then right now, very well, 95 above, higher, 98, but sometimes it varies. So those are some different reasons why, but long term, you should be developing higher and higher and higher, okay? Welcome, Cosmic. Welcome, Audrey. Leanne. Leanne's asking about the replays. She's having some trouble with the feed. Yes, this will stay up, so you can go back, watch it, okay? Replay it, see it again. Invite friends, loved ones. They can view it. Anyone interested in developing their intuition, developing their spiritual channels, perfect. Invite them. Welcome, Audrey, Fatima, Vanessa. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to answer a few more questions, and then we're going to go on with the teachings, everyone. But these are really good questions. I really like these questions. Okay. Linda's asking, and why would we want to get messages from my soul? Will it not be possible to get tainted messages? No. Our soul has love and light and so much. Our soul can guide us. Our soul has great wisdom. Our soul has so much to give to us. In fact, if we just listen to our soul, our life would be much different. Okay? Most of us, the negative messages usually come from our mind. They can come from the soul level, but when we connect to our soul is still going to give us the most positive messages to help transform, uplift our life. So do connect with your soul. Your soul has a lot of beautiful things to tell you, Linda. Maybe that's what you need to do, Linda. Okay, I happen to know Linda, but that would be great. Listen to your soul. Follow your soul. Ask your soul for guidance, and you will see how your soul can make a big difference in your life. Okay. Very important. We can carry soul blockages in our spiritual channels, in our intuition. That's something that we can learn how to transform. We want to unblock all those negative messages, but communicate with your soul. But as I said earlier, you could also communicate with even higher level enlightened beings like Tao Source, Divine, Buddhas, saints, angels, whatever your spiritual tradition is. You can, today's Mother Mary's birthday, for example, if you're a Christian or a Catholic, you can communicate with Mother Mary, get a message. If you are, you really connect with Buddha, connect with Kuan Yin, Amitabha. If you're Hindu, connect with Shiva, Hanuman, connect with Ganesha, Krishna. So whatever your spiritual beliefs are, you could connect to the soul of that, holy being, saint that you want to connect with. Maybe you just want to connect with the universal oneness, the sun, the moon. A lot of people do moon meditations. Connect with the soul of the moon. What does the soul of the moon have to say? So these techniques apply to everything, okay? So Fatima is asking a question in Spanish. She's asking, ¿cuál será el paso uno para empezar a recibir mensajes, okay? Basically, she's asking, what is the pathway to receive messages, okay? So what is that passageway? It's about unlocking, awakening your spiritual channels. When you do that, your intuition will develop. When you do that, you will begin to open the heart center, for example, which is one of the keys for opening your spiritual channels. So there's, a lot of people think the spiritual channels are something outside of you or only a few people can do. Every single person can develop their spiritual channels. And it's connected with our body. Yes, it's connected with our body. Okay? It's connected with our energy chakras. Simply means energy fields inside the core of our body. So we can learn how to unlock these passageways so that we can receive messages. Okay? That does take training though. Okay, so it's not something that some people actually are very good. They just right away open their channels. But for most people, it's sort of like a process, okay, that you learn, that you develop over time, okay? Okay, I'm just going to answer one more question and then a lot of good questions though. Wow, I'm just amazed by all these good questions. We should just have a show just on answering these questions. Okay, Ido will be the last question for now, but I'll come back for more questions. I love these questions. Absolutely amazing. And then I want to give a little bit more teaching. And then we have also, I'm going to give you an example of doing a spiritual reading. How do we know a positive message is from intuition, an angel, the mind, soul, or something else? How do we differentiate and identify the source, especially when information is not new, meaning we already have that information? Many times when I'm working with people, I would say like 90% of the time, they go like, yes, I knew that. I knew the answer to that. I felt that. I just knew it, but I just needed somebody to tell me. It's like you get the message, but you just need like a little boost of confidence to have somebody else to tell you. How do you distinguish? Yes, when we get messages, there are some positive messages and there could also be negative messages. So here's how to distinguish the two very simply. Positive messages uplift your frequency vibration. Negative messages can drop your vibration. Maybe your heart will close. Okay. Positive messages open, love, light, much more. Okay. Positive messages always serve. When you get a message from a saint, an angel, or a Buddha, the message always is to serve. That means it's bringing love, peace, harmony. It's bringing harmony. It's bringing flourishing. It's doing something to enhance your life. Negative messages may create disharmony in your life or separation. Okay. So those are a few things to pick up on. Okay. There are more, but that's what I will share for now. Okay. Okay. Let's go back to the slides here. I have a few slides to show everybody. So today, this is going to be a two-part class. And today, we'll just go over some of the spiritual channels. Next class, we're going to go over more, over one of the spiritual channels. So let me post here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, so what are the spiritual channels? Okay, I love this slide, and I'll tell you why. So the spiritual channels are the passageway to the soul. There's two kinds of passageways, okay? Your inner soul to your heart and your mind. What does that mean? It means there is a passageway inside your body, not outside of you. So it's something inside of you that is connecting your soul to your heart and your mind. And that's how your soul starts to give The your soul is giving messages to your heart. Your heart receives those messages, and then your mind says, oh, this is a good idea. Or, oh, let's go here. Or, oh, let's have a new business. Oh, look, let's create this. But your soul, maybe you don't know, but your soul gave you that idea. So whenever you have a bright idea, whenever you have a new project and you have like the solution, many, many times it was your soul that gave you that idea, that message. But you may not even realize, your soul is guiding that. When this passageway is blocked, that's when you feel disconnected from your heart. You feel disconnected from your soul. I have a student who is struggling with depression. And they wrote to me, and one sentence, that it was very, they said, I feel disconnected from my soul. That one sentence just touched my heart. I was like, okay, how do I help her? But it's this sentence. I helped her to connect back to her soul, back to her heart. The heart's like the middle. The heart is like the bridge between the soul and the mind. So bringing that back, that alignment back, is what then started a process of healing depression. She's still in the process, so we're still working together on that. But it's that disconnection that's very important. So when your soul tells your heart, oh, let's do this, but then your heart gives the message to the mind, and your mind's all like, no, I don't think that's going to work. Or your mind may be like, no, I've tried that before. Or your mind may say, oh, I'm not sure if this is the right thing to do. Or it's overwhelming. There's too many decisions. But always go back, especially if you feel stuck or confused, go back to your soul. Why is this happening in my life? Why is this experience happening in my life? Your soul will then give you the answer to solve that issue. Okay? So very important to open up that passageway. Now, some of this, it's like, well, how do you open it? At the end of today, we'll share how you can do this. There is some training that you need to open up those passageways. You need to clean them out. When you open your spiritual channels, they're very thin, or they're blocked. Think of it like blocked arteries or blocked, pipes. You need to clean them out, open them up. That way that it can flow very freely, all the messages. So number 2 here. The second passageway is your inner soul to outer souls. What does that mean? That is a passageway inside your body. Again, it's part of your body, but there is a passageway that you can develop that allows you to receive messages. Your inner soul is your body soul. Okay? What are outer souls? Outer souls are the divine, the Tao source. Kuan Yin, Amitofu, the Buddhas, the saints, the angels, the sun, the moon, anything outside to get a message for that. So both these passages need to highly develop. Now, one thing about the work of Dr. and Master Zhigong Sha, he takes things a little bit more further. Many people believe you have a soul, like your body soul. The body soul is your inner soul. But you may not have heard before that your liver can have a soul, your spinal column, your brain has a soul. So everything and everyone has a soul. So you could learn how to communicate with any souls inside your body. We're like a system of souls. So 2 passageways, very, very important to highly develop when you begin to develop your intuition and your spiritual channels. How do you know when you have intuition? It's number 1 here. Also number 2. But when your soul is giving that message to your heart, delivering that message to your mind, your intuition is now in alignment and it's highly developed. You're following the pathway that the soul gives the message to the heart gives the message to the mind then gives the message to the body, the energy and the matter. Okay, it's a process of manifestation. That's another way to look at it, a process of creation, manifestation. So, very important, clear the blockages, unlock those channels to develop your intuition, your spiritual channels. Okay, why do you want to do this? Like, I mentioned a lot in the beginning, but why do you want to do this? Okay, here is a list of many different reasons why you may want to do this. One, connecting, of course, to your inner souls and outer souls, finding out what is the purpose of my life. So many questions. I have another Facebook show on Dr. and Master Jigong Shah's Facebook show with Alexia. So many people ask that question. What is the purpose of my life? Okay. You could figure that out through your spiritual channels. Understanding the purpose of your physical life. So for example, I'm taking a course called Tao Science through the Tao Academy. And one of the homework was, find your target audience. Who do you want to work with? Where do you want to go teach this new information? You use your spiritual channels, who your target audience is. To receive guidance every part of your life, health, relationships, finances. Today I was working with somebody who they wanted to know, is this a good business partner to work with? Okay. Are they in alignment? How do you communicate with your loved ones? Souls that have transitioned. A lot of people love to receive messages from souls that have transitioned. Pets, with nature, saints, Buddhas, angels, guides, spiritual fathers and mothers. Communicate with divine Tao source. When you have reached a high level accuracy, the Tao Academy, that's the education arm of Master Sha's organization, they offer training in this as well, so that when you reach a very high level, and it does take some time, then you could receive certification to give guidance to others, to help others. Okay, so there's a lot of benefits of why you would want to open your spiritual channels. Okay, all very, very important. Now, when I work with people, here's a little, when you work with intuition and you want to deepen, align with your intuition, when you want to strengthen your spiritual channels, I want you to think outside, think much bigger. Is that the spiritual channels, your intuition, is like a field of information. A field of information. And we want that field to be vibrating at a very high frequency vibration. We want that field to be a positive field. And we want that field to be in alignment with us, with our soul, heart, mind, and body. So your intuition, your spiritual channels, is a field of information that is within you, around you. It's a field of information that can extend all the way to the highest realms of Tao Source, into Mother Earth, 360 degrees all around you. It's a field of light. Highly developed spiritual channels, highly developed intuition. You are connecting to even higher dimensions, higher level Buddhas, saints, connecting to the layers of heaven, Tao Source, the Akashic records, the field of information. So you need to be able to connect to that field. So how do you do that? You develop different parts of the body, okay? Different energy centers, different energy chakras. You develop those passageways that we talked about. You also have to, so this here Shen Qi Jing is the field, just in a different language, okay? This is the language of Tao science. It is a book written by Dr. and Master Zhigang Sha, also by Dr. Erulin Shu, who is a physicist. She's also one of my colleagues. And the field, this I'm talking about, it carries what we call Shen Qi Jing. Those are Mandarin words, okay? So what does it mean? Shen is the soul, heart, and mind. Qi is the energy. Jing is the matter. Another way of saying soul, heart, mind, energy, and matter is that the soul is the content of information. Guess what that is? The soul has message. So we want to connect to a soul with a high level positive message that can guide our life. We don't want to, so we want to start with the soul. That's why when we either talk to our soul, communicate with our soul, or we communicate with the soul of a Buddha, saint, angel, communicate with the soul of the Tao source, of the divine, whatever your spiritual beliefs are. But start with the soul. It has information to give to us. It has wisdom. It has knowledge. It has practical techniques that can guide us. That information then goes to the heart, the receiver of the information. Our mind starts to process it. The energy is the thing that puts it into action. The matter, the physical body is like a transformer. It is what transforms all these beautiful energies and transforms it into a dream vacation, your true love. It's the manifestation. It's the creation. It's transformed into something, into reality, something that you can see, touch, hear. Okay, so we go through that process. So using this wisdom, our spiritual channels, our intuition has Shen Qi Jing. Those passageways that I was talking about, they have Shen Qi Jing. And there could be blockages in those passageways. So we need to clean out those blockages. That's why there's a positive and negative. We all have positive Shen Qi Jing. We also all have negative Shen Qi Jing. The negative, what is positive Shen Qi Jing? Love, light, flourishing, joy, positive messages in our field. Okay? The field of our soul, heart, mind, and body. What is negative? Think of like trauma. It leaves a negative imprint in our soul, heart, mind, or body. Or negative words, like messages in water. When there's a negative message with the work of Dr. Emoto, the water didn't crystallize as beautiful. It's those negative messages. Guess what we're made of? We're made of water. So those messages, negative words, negative messages can leave imprints in our body. They can block our channels. They can block our intuition. So what do we have to do? We have to transform the negative information, transform it to positive information. And yes, there are techniques how to do that, to help you to awaken that, to help you to develop that. Again, it takes time. It's a process of developing your spiritual channels. Okay, here's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to I'm going to communicate with Tao Source to give everyone a message about the importance of developing our intuition, developing our spiritual channels, just so that you can experience what I'm talking about here. Okay, so this is called soul communication, or it's called a Tao soul reading. Okay, same thing, different. Some people, a lot of people may have heard of mediums where they're channeling in a message similar to that. Okay, so best is if you just close your eyes and listen to the message. Okay, so just take a moment, close your eyes, and take a nice deep breath into your lower abdomen. Release. I'm going to now connect how this is the Tao source. My most beloved ones, it is very important to connect deeper to your heart, for the heart is the receiver of love, of forgiveness, of compassion, of the light. The light is the carrier of these messages. Connect to the souls that embody, that embrace the brightest light, the Buddhas, the saints, the angels, the divine. They each carry great wisdom, light, and by opening your heart, you will allow these saints, angels, and Buddhas to shower with you with light, with love, with wisdom, with messages. Heart touch heart, soul touch soul. When your heart and soul connect to the heart and soul of an enlightened being, you can receive those messages very easily. That is intuition. It is not just your intuition. Intuition is listening to the messages that the saints and angels are trying to give to you. The divine Tao source, the saints, they are giving you the inspiration, the solutions, the ideas. Many times these come from them. Ordinary human thoughts, those may be good, but to go deeper in your intuition, open the passageways of your spiritual channels and trust more. For the saints, angels, and Buddhas want to guide you during these difficult times on Mother Earth. It will become important to let them guide you. And when you do this, your life will be very different. For these messages will heal you and others. These messages will bring greater frequency vibration to bless your life. That is higher level intuition. And each of you can do this. And for those of you who say your spiritual channels are opened, you can always go deeper. You can always open them further, purify further. To have highly developed intuition and spiritual channels is one of the greatest opportunities to bless your life and to serve others. I love you all. I thank you all. The Tao Source, thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you, love you. Give gratitude to Tao Source. Thank you, Tao Source. Express your gratitude to receive the message. Okay, very beautiful. I absolutely love it. You know, when I do this, there's so much light and I just feel so much good because it's like nourishing my body that it's also healing me. Like, it's wonderful. Okay. Okay, so we're going to bring on a guest and she has a question. So I wanted you to see different ways that you could use your spiritual channels. This is one way. Now, using our spiritual channels to serve someone else. Okay, so let us bring on Hithika, and she has a welcome, Hithika.
Thank you, Master Francisco, for getting me here. I'm so grateful, so honored.
Great, wonderful. Thank you for being here. Now, I heard you have some life changes, and you want to know like what's happening, or maybe tell us a little bit about what you need clarity or guidance for.
I actually recently moved to Canada for my studies and I completed my studies. And I was wondering as to what is the real purpose of my move here? What is my spiritual purpose of my move to Canada from Mumbai, India?
Maybe share with us, what did you study, and and what you personally would like to do from the mind level.
I actually studied finance, and I after studying it, I'm realizing I'm not actually interested in studying finance anymore or pursuing that as my career. And I wanted to do something in spirituality.
Wow, that's a
And
big change.
I know. So I was wondering as to how am I supposed to do that? How am I actually supposed to pursue my dreams?
Okay. Okay, good question. Okay.
Thank you.
So Hithika, close your eyes. Okay. We all can close our eyes, Everybody can learn what I'm doing here. Everybody has that ability. Okay. I'm going to share with you next how you can do that. Okay. So for now, let's all close our eyes. How? This is the soul of Kuan Yin, the Buddha of compassion. My dear daughter Hithika, welcome home. Welcome home. You are home, my beloved daughter. You have many lifetimes been on the spiritual journey. There is no coincidence why you have studied finances. Do not see things as separate. That is where you may go wrong, as separating your spirituality from finances. Why don't you think that they are one? Finances is also spiritual. What you need to do, beloved daughter, is to go deeper in your heart. Open your spiritual channels and begin to receive messages to guide your own life. The guidance, though, for you, beloved daughter, you are here to be a messenger. A messenger of what? Of light, of love, to spread the teachings of Dr. and Master Jigong Sha. You are a healer. You are a teacher. You, my dear daughter, in the future will work for corporations, companies, and you will develop programs to bring these teachings to them that will bring about the changes in their organizations, with relationships between coworkers, with burnout and more. You see, my beloved one, during this new era, business and finances will also change, and you will have a role to play in the change that will take place. Companies, finances also have a soul, also have Shen Qi Jing, and those need to be uplifted and transformed as we go into the new era. You, my dear daughter, will carry a role in that transformation. For you, beloved one, it is recommended to learn more, educate yourself more, endow science, endow calligraphy healing field, where you will bring these to the world in a most sacred way. And you are here in Toronto to learn more, to take that next step in your journey. You are most loved and blessed, the Tao Source. Kuan Yin. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you, Kuan Yin. Okay, thank you, Kuan Yin. Okay, so Hithika, if you could share, how was the message for you?
I am so, so, so grateful to receive this. Just as you started talking, it felt like my heart started opening. And the message that I'm home, I started feeling that so much more. And it was like my heart was screaming out of joy, like, yes, finally, you're here. And so much of light that was pouring in. And it was just, I don't have any words to describe it. Thank you so much.
Great. So I did see you, receive some training that would be very good for you. But I saw you doing a lot of outreach to organizations in the future. And so bringing a lot of this to organizations, companies, it's a very big, actually sounds like a very big task and big role. So, but I believe you can do it. Okay.
Thank
Thank you,
you. Thank
Hithika, for
you.
being
Thank you.
here today. Okay. Okay. Very beautiful. Lots of love and light. Just take a moment here to answer a few. I'm just going to give me 1 second. Okay. Lots of Heike said, wow, I just turned on another switch in my heart and I felt all leaped forward and so much light came. Wonderful. Heike, this is very important for you to open those passageways to trust more. That will help you very, very much. Mona Lisa, tears rolling, not sure why, feeling very grateful. Okay. Lots of beautiful comments. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Okay. Here, Stephanie asked a good question. What if negative messages come true? Don't worry, first of all. Okay. When you get a negative message, when you feel that that message is maybe blocking yourself, I normally feel it in my heart. My heart will close a little bit, or I feel like a funny, strange feeling. You just kind of like, oh, something's not right here. Uh, you know, just don't listen to that message. And you could also do a short little practice to transform those negative messages. All of us have the power to transform negative messages that block our life. So if that does happen, you don't need to worry. Okay. And later I'm going to share next with you how you could receive further training to really take that to the next step in your journey of opening your spiritual channels. Okay, beautiful questions. Thank you, everyone who who asked all these beautiful questions. A lot of opportunity. Somebody earlier was asking about accuracy. How do you know? There's ways to determine accuracy. One is through checking with somebody with highly developed spiritual channels, but there are other ways that I will share with you in the course that I'm going to share with you next. And there are a lot of practices you can do. Okay, so let me talk about this program here. So this is a formal program where it's a 4-part training series to learn the techniques to develop the spiritual channels. So in this training, you're going to learn about those passageways that I was talking about. How do you unblock them? How do you bring out your soul language? How do you unlock your spiritual channels? And for those of you who already have them open, how do you strengthen it? And we're going to do special practices to help you to develop them. It's a short course, so everybody can quickly do that course, 4-part training, 4 classes, and it's going to start on September 26th. It's called The Keys to Aligning with Your Spirit and Trusting Your Intuition. This is one of my favorite subjects, and I'm sort of like the expert in this field in Master Sha's organization. So a lot of these questions, I love these questions because I've worked with many people in developing their spiritual channels. I worked from the new person who just wants to maybe never did this before, open your spiritual channels, to the most advanced students and teachers so that they could go to that next step in developing their spiritual channels. All are very important. Okay. Now Stephanie's asking, like, I wonder, how can I practice using my intuition? Should I try for many really small things? Should I meditate when I wake up and go for a walk? You know, when we use our spiritual channels, our intuition, we want to use it more for very important questions. For simple things that we can make our own decisions, we don't need to bother with our spiritual channels. Like, you don't want to use your spiritual channels like, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? You know what your stomach you know what you want to eat, so just do that. When you go to, I've seen people use their intuition when they go to a restaurant, which is the best meal for them. For some simple things that you know the answer to, you just don't use your spiritual channels. But when they come to certain things in life, I know some people who every day when they wake up, they do a practice to open their spiritual channels, and they ask simple questions like, what is the guidance for me today? What is the most important thing for me to focus on today? Or maybe there's a relationship that they're struggling with. How can I bring more love into that relationship? How can I have more intimacy with my partner? Whatever your issue is, your spiritual channels can help guide you with that. Or if there's an issue at work, a lot of work issues, so many people are having work issues with working relationship issues. Like, how can I have more harmony with my colleague or with my boss? How can they see my true potential? How can I get that raise that I've been wanting for? I have somebody right now, they don't, ask for a raise and they're not getting it, and their boss is ignoring them. So they want to know, like, how do I make this happen? I really need that raise. All these type of questions where you get stuck, perfect time to use your intuition, perfect time to use your spiritual channels. When you finish this 4-part training, you will be empowered to be able to receive messages with your spiritual channels to help guide your life. So it's like, for that, first-time person who really wants to take that step, by the time you're done with that, you'll be able to get some messages to guide you, okay? And for anyone who's struggling, we're going to have I have some teacher assistants who will help me to connect with you to really, help you to receive a message. But I believe you will. Usually when people take my training, very good. Everyone starts to receive messages. And for those who struggle, you can get a lot of personal touch to really bring out that, because it's important, very important to highly develop your spiritual channels. I cannot emphasize that enough. For those of you more like, you can use it for your daily life, but some people, using your spiritual channels is also spiritual practice. So you're connecting to Tao source. That high frequency vibration is coming into your body. That feels very good. It uplifts you. So as you're doing this, it is healing, uplifting, transforming you in most beautiful ways. Okay. So Joan says, I have an overactive mind and I received a lot of messages. How do I know which one is right? Okay. Here's one way to tell, Joan. If your heart feels a lot of love, a lot of light, good message, that's coming from your soul, okay? If you feel it more here, or, it could be coming from the mind. I usually feel it in the heart, like I feel the heart open, there's like love and light, it just fills it up. That's how I know, like, wow, the good message. Or sometimes, if you didn't, if some information came in that was like, wow, like I would have never thought about that, most likely that's also coming from your soul. Those are some ways that you could tell. Okay, so don't miss. Next week, we will continue to have part 2. So be here with me next week, learn more, have more time to ask a lot of questions. Feel free to think about it. Come back, ask some more questions next week. Okay, love for you to do that. Okay, Audrey said, I went into another layer of profound learning, reconnecting to our beloved, wise, ancient souls to allow to serve us. Wow, great intuition and inspiration. Yes, Audrey, very important for you too, to open your spiritual channels further. Catherine's asking, will this be a Zoom class? Yes, the 4-part training will be on Zoom. We will interact with one another. I will ask you a lot of questions. I will ask you to share. I will ask you to deliver a message even. Okay? So a lot of great idea, a lot of personal connections in the 4-part training. Okay, so I thank you all from my heart and soul, and I wish each of you have a most beautiful day. Don't forget, invite friends, loved ones, anyone who's interested in developing their spiritual channels. Share the link, share them, invite them next week. We'll love to have more people to learn this wisdom. So we thank you all. We love you all, and have a most beautiful rest of the day, everyone. Bye-bye, everyone. Love you all.